Hi, my name is Israel. I am a business major here at Los Medanos College with plans to transfer to CSU East Bay, again, as a business major, focusing on marketing. So today I decided to do my presentation on the effects of alcohol and on the body and how your body digests that alcohol. To start off with, I think it's important that we start off with knowing what an alcohol serving is. We will identify one glass as approximately 5 ounces of wine. And wine typically carries 9 to 14% alcohol by volume. Now beer, we'll refer to it as about 12 ounces, and that's 3 to 7% alcohol by volume. And the infamous shot is approximately 1.5 ounces of liquor or spirits, and those usually carry anywhere from 40 to 95% alcohol by volume. Now consuming alcohol, it follows the typical path of eating food. It goes in through the mouth, down to the esophagus, and into the stomach. Now, once it reaches the stomach, about 20% of the alcohol is absorbed and sent into the bloodstream. And it's important to remember that when we're drinking, that we actually have food in our stomach because that slows down the absorption rate. Now, what that means is it means that you'll actually get drunk slower, which is a good thing because if it happens all at once, that could be very detrimental to your body. Now, when we're talking about alcohol, we're going to be referring to it as ethanol as well, interchangeably. So once it's done being absorbed by the stomach and into the bloodstream, it goes into the small intestine, and from there it gets delivered up to the liver. So breaking it down, ethanol, once it reaches your liver, is oxidized, which means that it will use the enzyme alcohol dehydrogenase to lose some hydrogen molecules. Now, ADH is extremely important in making sure that we can break this alcohol down because ethanol is a toxin to your body. Now, the NAD plus converts the nutrients, which in this case, we'll use ethanol as a nutrient. It converts the nutrients to ATP, and the NADH increases ATP production in order to break these bonds, to break down and digest the ethanol. Now, once ethanol is broken down, we're left with acetaldehyde, which is actually a toxin and worse than ethanol. So your body is going to try and break this down as soon as possible. Now, acetaldehyde, oh no, again, is a toxin. So your body is going to try and get rid of this as soon and as fast as possible. Now, there are multiple negative side effects to acetaldehyde, and a lot of it is attributed with the feelings of hangover. So the lethargy, the nausea, upset stomach, diarrhea perhaps. Again, those are those side effects. But most importantly, that splitting headache because you have acetaldehyde that has reached your brain. So we're going to go over here in just a second on how to counter some of those things. But again, your body is going to try and break down acetaldehyde as much as possible. And for that, it uses aldehyde dehydrogenase, which is another enzyme found in your liver. Once it breaks down acetaldehyde, you're left with acetic acid, which essentially is just vinegar. Vinegar is not bad for you. I know people that drink vinegar, apple cider vinegar, to detox, try and lose some weight. And vinegar, once it's at that point, your body breaks it down into carbon dioxide and then hydrogen, sorry about that. So alcohol dehydrogenase, also known as ADH, show me what you've got. It's actually influenced by gender and ethnicity. Now I know that we hear often that, oh, I'm a guy, I don't get drunk as fast. There's actually some science behind it. They have found that females have less ADH in their liver than males do. And surprisingly, it also varies by ethnicity. There have been studies that have found that as much as 50% of Asians have an extremely lower ADH production in their liver than Caucasians do, as well as Native Americans and Inuits. Now, after the alcohol has made its way to your liver and your liver's done all it can because it can only process about 1 drink an hour. That's how much your liver can process. Everything else just gets sent out to the rest of your body. Now, the only difference is a shot. The alcohol, your liver can only process about 1 ounce of the 1.5 ounces an hour, or an hour, I'm sorry. So after it's done for an hour, there's still that half ounce of alcohol that's making its way to the rest of your body. So either sip that beer, take it slow, or give yourself an hour in between. Now take a breath. Now when the ethanol is ingested, it goes again into your intestine, into the liver. It follows at that point the pulmonary vein into your lungs, from your lungs into the pulmonary vein, then into your heart, and again into the rest of your brain and the body. Once it enters your heart and gets sent into the lungs, anytime that you do breathe, that's again your body trying to get rid of those toxins, you're breathing out alcohol. Now once it reaches your heart, there's actually alcohol reduces the force of the muscle contractions of the heart. It relaxes your blood vessels, and it lowers your blood pressure for just a second as well. And by a second, I mean by about half an hour. And goes back to normal after about 30 minutes as well. Now, rising to the surface, ethanol raises your HDL, not necessarily your good cholesterol, but there is a slight HDL increase. It thins your blood, which makes it likely to clot. And why is that good news? Because for about that half hour that we talked about earlier, you're less likely to die of stroke or a heart attack. So drink up and know that you'll probably die of alcohol poisoning before you die of a heart attack during this time. And now when the blood vessels expand again, we're back to the alcohol dehydrogenase is trying to pump it out as much as possible into the liver to get into to where it needs to be so that your body can expel it. So when your blood vessels expand, they get closer to the surface of the skin. So that's when you notice that you start to turn red and pink. Now, when we're going back to this ADH, we're talking about susceptible to Asians and females, where they actually get red and pink a lot faster because they lack the ADH in their system. Also, your body, again, is trying to detoxify itself, getting rid of alcohol as much as possible. So if someone does tell you you're sweating alcohol, that's probably what they're smelling. You're actually sweating out some of that ethanol, that acetaldehyde that's in your system. Now, what did I just read? Alcohol is a depressant. Now, that does not mean that it will make you depressed, although in some cases it might. But it means that it slows everything down, which is why it's so important to not be drinking and driving, operating heavy machinery, or doing anything of that nature, because your response rate, your nerve cells aren't responding as fast as they would because the alcohol is interfering with them. So again, with your nerve cells and your cognition, everything just slows down. Things kind of, start going a little slower. Your processing slows down significantly. For me, I notice that I'm starting to start that buzz when my tongue starts to get numb. That's essentially my nerve cells not communicating properly with my brain, and that's when I know, I should probably start slowing down a little bit, start drinking some water. And speaking of water, alcohol is an it suppresses your antidiuretic hormone, which means that water, that H2 is not making its way back into the bloodstream. So you actually will be either sweating it out or peeing, which is why you start to pee a lot. Your body's just trying to rid itself of that toxin. So when that happens, you're more susceptible to dehydration, it's extremely important that you're drinking a cup of water between every drink, or just doubling that water up as you are drinking. Now, other alcohols. There is methanol, not to be confused with menthol, which makes your breath smell good, or with ethanol, because methanol is actually extremely dangerous for you. It is very similar to formaldehyde, which taxidermists use to preserve bodies. Now, isopropyl alcohol is mainly used as a solvent or cleaner, but if you drink it, it can cause vomiting, diarrhea, internal bleeding, so stay away from that if you can. Rubbing alcohol is a denatured alcohol. There are some rubbing isopropyl alcohol, but denatured means that there are chemicals in it that is more than just alcohol. So be extremely careful with that because it can really, really mess you up. It is also used for killing germs and bacteria. So when you are on that drunken stupor at night and you fall and you scrape your knee, you can use rubbing alcohol to disinfect it. But again, do not drink it as denatured. It has chemicals in it that are extremely harmful to you. So thank you very much for listening to this presentation, and I hope you have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your summer, Professor, and take care.